a deadly boating accident from 2 years ago hold the answer to a shocking double murder from 1 week ago? Investigators aren't saying much, but some of the lawyers are. And it's just one more chapter in the Murdaugh mystery. And it's our top story tonight on Banfield. Then later, she has a very famous name and a very famous family, and now she's the fan favorite on one of the most famous shows on TV. What it's really like to be at the center of the fame storm, like the Real Housewives. I'll ask Kathy Hilton, designer, philanthropist, proud mom, on Banfield. Hello and welcome to Banfield, Low Country, South Carolina, where the brutal gunshot murders of Paul Murdaugh and his mother Maggie have rattled the quiet countryside. They were wealthy, they were powerful, but they also had a past. At least Paul did. That young man was driving a boat during a drunken crash that killed a 19-year-old friend 2 years ago. And now the skeletons from that crime are complicating the investigation into this crime. Reporter Riley Benson of WCBD-TV in Charleston, South Carolina, is out on the beat. He's tracking this story, and he joins me live from the field. Riley, the latest that's happening in this story is that the lawyers who are involved in the situation from 2 years ago, the deadly boat crash from 2 years ago, they're starting to talk about the police having not done the right kind of job in investigating that crime. That sounds problematic. What do you know?
Actually, there's been some talk regarding that investigation from 2019. The family's involvement from the beginning has been questioned. Now, we don't have anything confirmed, but obviously, that investigation being 2 years ago, one thing we do know is that the solicitor's office at that time, the 14th Circuit Solicitor Duffy Stone, recused himself from that case. He is the solicitor now still currently serving in the 14th Circuit Solicitor's office. Now, he was handpicked by the Murdaugh family when the Murdaughs retired back in 2006. Now, I believe maybe what you're talking about or referring to is that Alex Murdaugh and possibly Randolph Murdaugh were on scene or at some point showed up that evening, the night of the boat accident. They are also named, at one point were named in the lawsuit against Paul Murdaugh related to that boating accident. We do know Paul's brother Buster was also named in that lawsuit. So I'm not sure if that's what you're specifically referring to, Ashley, or not.
So there are a couple of references that have come out, Riley, and I'm just grabbing all the paperwork as it's coming in. But the attorney for the Beach family has said that they've got some concerns. The fact that the charges, the boating while intoxicated felony charges are being dropped, obviously against Paul Murdaugh, because he's dead. He just was murdered a week ago. Those BUI, boating, under the influence, are being dropped, but the investigation is continuing. And let me read what the attorney for Mallory Beach's family has to say. Mallory Beach is the 19-year-old young woman who was killed in that boating accident. The Beaches have every confidence and are hopeful that the Attorney General's office will continue to investigate and prosecute any improprieties related to any attempts by any member of law enforcement to influence the original criminal investigation related to the boat crash. Those are very strong words, Riley, influencing the original criminal investigation and attempts by any member of law enforcement. I'm starting to wonder if this has more to do with the civil suit and making sure that they've got their ducks in a row and are crossing every T and dotting every I for the civil case, or if there's really an allegation that there was police misconduct, and God knows what that's going to mean for the double murder investigation that we're in the middle of now.
Right. I think it's important to say that, I don't have anything confirmed at this point, but what we've talked about and what we've heard rumblings from the community is that potentially, like I mentioned, some members of the Murdaugh family possibly showed up on that scene that night and maybe influenced some things that happened. Now, none of that's confirmed. None of that's coming from law enforcement in, South Carolina, whether that be Colleton County, Beaufort County where that crash happened, or from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. I think it's important to mention in the double homicide case that Colleton County sheriffs did turn this case over immediately to the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division in hopes that that maybe that line wouldn't be drawn. Now I know that there's a lot of questions related to Alex Murdaugh working with the solicitor's office, the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office. Now, we're believing that the reason why that case was turned over so fast is so this line couldn't be drawn in the double homicide case. Now, like I said, though, it's kind of unclear as to what happened on the night of the 2019 boating accident, but the rumor is that some of the Murdaugh family, possibly Alex, were on scene that night, and that would make sense if it was his boat that Paul was driving that night, Ashley.
Okay, so a couple of other things that we've been pulling from reporting and from court documents, because of course there've been depositions, right? This is a 2-year-old case. It's got a civil case that's going. So from some of the depositions, we're starting to get some pictures of what happened that night. And one of the kids in the boat, and let me just name some of the kids in the boat. Of course, Mallory Beach was thrown from the boat and not found, for about a week and was deceased. Then there are 2 kids with the last name Cook. On the police report, it says Keith Cook and Connor Cook. But in the investigations, it's Anthony Cook. Is Keith Anthony or is Connor Anthony? Or is there a third person?
So I'm not entirely sure what the relations were on this boat. I know that Paul had his, at the time, girlfriend with him, and then Mallory and her, at the time, significant other. And then there was allegedly another couple on the boat. So 3 couples on this boat. I believe they were headed to an oyster roast somewhere in Beaufort County at that point, I believe.
Yeah, heading back from it. They were coming back from the oyster roast. And let me tell you, I'm putting the pieces together. The Anthony Cook, who is interviewed later and who shows up in court documents for the civil case, says that he's Mallory's girlfriend. They were sitting on the boat together on the bottom, like right on the hull, on the floor of the boat, facing backwards, and that Mallory was in his lap. So Anthony Cook is saying he's Mallory's boyfriend. Mallory was sitting on his lap. There's someone named Miley Altman. There's Paul Murdaugh, of course, who it was later determined was driving, and someone named Morgan Doughty, Doughty. That's in the police report. But Anthony later says that he had told the police that he begged Paul to let him drive because he said Paul was too drunk to drive. So Anthony is on the record as having begged Paul. And then there's also reporting that there were no breathalyzers given to anybody on the scene, even though the police said all of them were grossly intoxicated. There could be reasons for that. Probable cause doesn't, you just can't give everybody a breathalyzer. You got to figure out who the driver is. And at the beginning, they said they didn't even know who the driver was. They couldn't determine until later on. So to that end, Connor Cook, his attorney today, Riley, is saying that it's inexplicable disappearance of important evidence and other lapses by initial investigating authorities. So now Connor Cook's attorney, one of the kids in the boat, as well as Mallory Beach's family's attorney, Mallory Beach deceased in the boat, are both saying that the investigation was fishy during that boating incident, and in fact, inexplicable disappearance of important evidence is what Connor Cook's attorney is saying. This is starting to really shape up to be, a real battle of wits.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to what we've talked about this double homicide is, we don't know what we don't know. There's a lot of missing pieces. There's a lot of things that, seem to be missing in the moment of what's happening here. We don't know. We haven't had a lot of information from law enforcement now. To be, completely honest with you, Ashley, I wasn't here in the Low Country at the time of this 2019 boating accident. I have read up on it significantly, but it seems to me there's a lot of missing puzzle pieces in both cases that we're still waiting for. And I think when we do receive those, it would hopefully paint a clearer picture into both cases. What happened at the time and what's happening afterwards as far as the investigations into both cases.
Yeah, one final comment from Mallory Beach's lawyer, because obviously some people are drawing a parallel saying, well, why would Paul and his mother be killed but for the fact that he was embroiled in this, deadly boat accident that killed Mallory Beach? Well, the Beach lawyer had something very poignant to say about that today, saying that my people have not been called in for questioning at all. They take an issue with any links between the two families, saying that they haven't been called in for questioning because it is clear clear they never wanted this to happen and have nothing to do with it. So the mystery in Low Country continues. Riley Benson, thank you for stopping down in your investigation in the field and talking to us tonight. We're going to continue drilling down on this story. Straight ahead, my brain trust. Trial attorney Mark O'Mara, forensic analyst Joseph Scott Morgan, and former FBI profiler Jim Clemente when we come back. Welcome back. Joining me now with their take on the Murdaugh murders in South Carolina and a 2-year-old boating accident that may or may not be connected, criminal defense attorney Mark O'Mara, forensic analyst Joseph Scott Morgan, and retired FBI special agent and profiler Jim Clemente. Welcome to all three of you. Jim, I'm going to begin with you because the crime that we are talking about most recently is the double murder. Mrs. Murdaugh and her son, Paul, found shot dead with 2 different weapons near the dog kennels, about a quarter-mile away from the main house, as the reporting tells us, in the dark. This sounds absolutely bizarre, but for a criminal profiler, I'm sure you have some theories.
I do. I'll say that there's still some information I'd like to know. Because they recovered the weapons on the scene. I don't know if those weapons were owned by the family or they were bought by the offender. And also, is it normal for the father to be out till 10 o'clock shooting? How did the people who did this crime, and I believe it was more than one, based on the fact that there were 2 weapons used, how did they know that these victims would be particularly vulnerable at that time? And how did they find them on this big plot of land? Or did they move them to the dog kennels? And is that where they were basically executed? So there's some questions, but it does seem like we have multiple offenders. It seemed to be targeted based on how Paul was shot in the head and chest with a shotgun. It seems like overkill. And then the fact that they were particularly vulnerable at that moment on this very big plot of land.
Well, I do have some answers, I think, and they, sometimes these answers are really more questions than answers, but we don't know if those guns were recovered. The reporting has suggested so far that there is an assault-style rifle that had been used to kill Mrs. Murdaugh, but the shotgun apparently was used to kill Paul Murdaugh, and they're not saying if this is they were guns that were actually taken from the scene or brought to the scene or taken away from the scene or left at the scene. We know there's shell casings, apparently, from reporting at the scene. And then as to I had that same question about coming home so late at night in a hunting lodge. He had apparently been visiting his very ill father, who passed away 3 days later. So it didn't seem unusual that Alex, the dad, came home late. But let me talk about some of the forensics. Joseph Scott Morgan, jump in here, because listen, you can see some of the pictures, right? The investigation was real hard to see from the outside. This is a very large property, over 2 acres, right? And you can see some of the crime scene workers there on the ground, but we can't see if they're pulling up tire tracks. We can't see if they're pulling up shoe prints in the mud. I can only imagine that that is exactly what they were doing and more.
Yeah, and this area would be very easy to control access for the police, and there's probably one way in, essentially, so they can kind of lock it down. I did take a look, Ash, at the aerial photography that was involved in this case, and or some of the aerial images, maybe from an earlier date, but the property is vast. I think that it's significant. You had mentioned earlier that both victims were found near dog kennels. This is, to me at least, indicates that they were in this location, perhaps specifically taken to that location, maybe to mute sound or something like that, because we don't really have a sense as to how far away other occupied dwellings might be. It is interesting, though, that there are, according to reports, SLED, the state law enforcement agency, recovered multiple casings, and it is reported, and again, this is only through the media, we don't have anything significant yet, but that these individuals were shot perhaps multiple times. Going to Jim's assessment, this can be an indication of overkill. One interesting thing, though, is they keep mentioning the term execution style. And classically, what we think about is kind of an asymmetrical relationship where you have the victim that is essentially beneath or lower than the perpetrator, and the perpetrator is kind of firing from above to below, and that gives you, an indication of kind of a dominance that's going on with this. So I think that there's still a lot to unpack here relative to the evidence. The fact that we have so much spent ammunition, perhaps, can be tied back to these weapons if they've already been recovered or if they ever will be recovered, and find out who owns these. This is not like handgun ammunition where they walked up on somebody that had a weapon that was kind of sequestered away on their person. They surprised them and they pulled the weapon out and shot them. These are two individuals, or one perhaps, carrying two weapons that presented with two long arms, Ash. This is not something that would have been concealable. Long arms many times are meant as a means to intimidate people. You will do as you're being told, and they're being directed toward a specific location. So still a lot to unfold here and to try to understand. But in my estimation, there's going to be a ton of forensics in this case.
I suspect as well. And I think, Joseph Scott Morgan, that they're keeping real tight-lipped.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of problems already that are starting to surface. And I think, Mark O'Mara, you as an attorney will understand this. And maybe, Mark, you'll be able to even help me navigate it, because some of the lawyers today have come out and they are none too pleased with law enforcement in that jurisdiction because they're going back 2 years ago to the boat accident. So a couple of things that we touched upon earlier, I'm going to touch upon them again. The lawyers for Mallory Beach, she's the victim of the boating incident. They have said, my people have not been called in for questioning at all. And basically, we don't want to even talk about that because we don't believe that this is an appropriate, solution. We never wanted this to happen. We had nothing to do with it. So they're saying very, very, strenuously that they are not involved in the investigation as of yet. But there was something else. One of the lawyers for a kid in the boat said that there's inexplicable disappearance of important evidence from that incident back then. And now I'm wondering, holy moly, are they just circling the wagons with law enforcement there saying, we're already in a pickle. Let's not start poisoning any of the well out there with information or evidence that we may have gathered in this. We have to keep this perfect. Or is it the other thing, Mark, and that is, this ain't going to be perfect and y'all don't need to know anything about it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we could unpack. There's a lot of conclusions we could jump to, but Ash, you and I have said maybe 100, if not more times before, there is so much we don't know, and we have to be careful trying to presume what may be going on. So there is a lot to unpack. Certainly, law enforcement is under scrutiny because of what may or may not happen properly back in 2019. I mean, I can't help but the historical reference to Chappaquiddick and how a lot of that information, because of the very powerful family, was maneuvered, changed, done whatever to. When I look at the 2019 investigation, like I've looked at a little bit, there are a lot of questions. Yes, you have to know who the driver is before taking a breath test, maybe. But, there seems to be a lot of information back in 2019. And now as we fast forward, we have the Beach family who, let's face it, they may not have been talked to yet, and their attorneys are going to say, we're not in the crosshairs, but we all know that when there is an execution-style killing without extraneous information already known, like a robbery or a burglary or something else, that it may well that the connection is going to be looked at. And certainly the idea that the Beach family is going to be at least considered, we can't ignore. So I think law enforcement is going to do exactly what you said. They're going to be very, very careful. They're already under the gun for maybe not doing the 2019 event or investigation the way people are now saying they should have. They're going to be very, very careful with this one for a couple of reasons. One, it's a very prominent family still, and we have two people killed, and they know the crosshairs are going to be on them with their investigation. So it's going to be done right, I think, and it's begun slowly, and we're going to be the ones waiting in the audience.
Let's hope. But we've got sources that, have reported to us today that they believe evidence has gone missing that Paul Murdaugh, again, Paul was charged in the boating incident, was awaiting trial. Evidence had been shared by Paul that's gone missing. Evidence was gathered and has now disappeared. This ties back to police corruption. These are sources, you know, within the authority community down there that are none too pleased with the way things are shaking out. And then this was another statement that stood out among the sources we spoke to. Much of the county is scared to death of the Murdaughs. That's just I mean, it's just incredible that they're at the center of both of these incidents. And of course, tragically have lost two members of the family to something no one, no matter what you've been involved in the past, should suffer through. Just quickly, Jim Clemente, Paul Murdaugh, the young boy, I think he's 22 years old now, before he was killed on Monday of last week, had a few brushes with the law, nothing really big, a citation for, you know, possession of alcohol, boating without some equipment, and traveling 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. I have about a minute and a half left, but that sure doesn't sound like somebody who'd be targeted for the kind of violent death that he met, other than what had happened with the incident with the boat and the death of Mallory.
Yeah, he apparently suffered some kind of alcohol toxicity where he literally changed his personality. He got more aggressive when he was drunk, and he did. You know, alcohol typically lowers your inhibitions, so you will see more kinds of risks being taken, and the increase in percentage of violent action and fatal accidents when you're under the influence of alcohol. I mean, he's a living example of it. So it may very well be that this could be related to the death of Mallory Beach, but not to the family itself. It could be somebody from the outside.
You know what?
In
fact,
as a
you
rich
just said
kid.
that he had an alter ego named Timmy, according to court documents that had been released in the old incident. One of the kids in the boat said that when he was drunk, we called him Timmy because a whole new person, had emerged. Gentlemen, I have to leave it there, but thank you so much, Mark O'Mara, Joseph Scott Morgan, and Jim Clemente. We're continuing to cover this story. But in the meantime, when we come back, the mama bear of the Hilton family on the Real Housewives, Kathy Hilton, on how it's going with the brand new season that she just joined, and if daughter Paris is pregnant. We ask the question, she gives the answer next. There is yelling, there is screaming, and yes, there are tears, hugs, and tantrums too. It is all in a day's work for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And now the mega franchise has a super famous castmate entering the mix. It is Kathy Hilton. And the fans, they are going bananas. I want to welcome friend of the Housewives, Kathy. Kathy, it's great to see you. I'm still a little confused about the difference between a friend and a housewife, but I know you're the perfect person to ask.
Well, a friend is doesn't have the responsibility of being there 24/7. I guess you could put it that way.
Does that mean it's a gig, but it's an easier gig for you?
Absolutely.
Well done, young lady. Because I know they asked you and asked you and asked you over these 10 seasons prior to join, and you were always, just pushing back and making little appearances. What changed that all of a sudden you decided, okay, I'm in, but just for this season so far?
I think as many people that watch the show are aware, Kyle and I have had our ups and downs, and our family has always been such a close family. So things started getting better a couple of years ago. And when she and the producer kept calling and would not let up and literally would not take no for an answer, I became very flattered that Kyle really wanted me. And it was the pandemic. And I thought, well, let me talk to Rick about it. Talked to my husband, and he said, this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to spend time with your sister. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. They said to me when we sat down and finally signed the contract, we want as much of you or whatever you want. If you don't, whatever you want, we want you involved. So it sounded pretty good to me.
And I look at the pictures of all of you guys. Like I see the pictures of you and your two sisters, Kim and Kyle, and then your two beautiful daughters, Paris and Nikki. And I think, wow, you guys really do get to spend a lot of time together. But it also means that fans are watching and they will look for anything and the internet will explode at anything. And I think it was just a couple days ago, maybe last week, there's a clip of the three sisters out just signing autographs and saying hello, and you were out celebrating. And I think, Kim looked woozy and sort of fell back into you, and the fans, were electrified, saying something's wrong with Kim. She's off the wagon. Something's wrong. How do you respond to that? And do you feel like it's intrusive when you sort of sign up for reality TV?
No, I think when you sign up, and literally there were a lot of people, and there were people pushing and shoving, and it was her first time being out and about. We had a 2-hour dinner, and the grandchildren were in there, and we had a great time. And I think that was a lot when we walked outside. Literally, there were so many photographers that you couldn't even believe it, and fans. And it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming.
And is there any truth to the speculation that Kim was under the influence?
Absolutely not. I actually heard that yesterday. No. I think I may have pulled her back, or no.
Okay, well, there it's on the record then. So I wanted to make sure and listen, I kind of had to spend a lot of time online just to sort of get up to speed because season 11 just started. But you are definitely the fan favorite, which leads a lot of people to ask, tell me she's going to stay, that this isn't just a one-off. Have you made a decision, even though it's early, obviously, in the season, as to whether you're going to stick around and maybe become a housewife or at least sign on for other seasons?
I always say never because who would have thought a year and a half ago that I would ever be on this show for more than a bleep. I will never, ever be a housewife. I have no desire for that at all. And I have a lot of things that I'm working on, and my plate is very full. So we'll see. I want to watch till the end. There's 21 episodes, so we'll see.
And Paris and Nikki, they weren't crazy about the idea. They even said our mom, straight up was shady and didn't even tell us she was doing that. Is that really how it played out in your household? You did not let on that you had signed on?
I knew that would be something that they would not be happy with at all. So, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it. There was part of me that wanted to, and so I thought to myself, why get them going? I'm not asking permission. So I kind of kept it quiet, and I was a little shady.
So I have to go to break, but before I do that, I want to play a question from a friend of mine, someone you probably know from cable news. She's a well-known political journalist. She's a conservative commentator. Her name is Essie Cupp, and she's the last person most people think is a Real Housewives superfan, but she truly knows more trivia about all the franchises of Real Housewives than I think all the housewives combined. So she has sent a video question, and I'm going to play the question for you, and then you'll have a moment to think about it over the break, and when we'll talk about it on the other side of the break. But here's Essie Cupp with her question for you, Kathy.
Hi, Kath. Big fan. So glad you finally agreed to do the show. We're all sort of revisiting a time in which young girls were coming up in the press, from Britney Spears to Lindsay Lohan to your daughter Paris, and were really treated terribly by the media and the paparazzi. I'm wondering, as a mom, what you think of that, looking back now as we all are, and going through it at the time.
We are back now with Kathy Hilton, the new fan favorite of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So, Kathy, we went to break with that question from Essie Cup, and I think it's a good, profound one. That there is a marked difference between the early 2000s and today when it comes to how women, young women in particular, are treated on reality television. And you're the mom of Paris, who just went through the ringer. What do you think about that?
I think it was extremely abusive and very, very, very upsetting. And it wasn't just reality. It was any young girl that was out and about and out there. I think just really irresponsible, cruel, and abusive. And certainly that behavior would not fly today.
Yeah, and there were plenty of men on reality television. I mean, gosh, back in the 80s, we were watching MTV and kids all crowded into houses living together. They never got the same treatment.
No, for some reason, these three really stood out. And no, it was very, very painful.
So let's talk a little more about you and going forward on the show. Do you feel like it's a safe space? I mean, you can just be yourself, you can do what you want to do, and you don't have to worry about what, you know, the press and the paparazzi are going to do with your brand? Or do you still kind of walk on eggshells and kind of hold back?
You know, it's interesting. This is the first time I've seen myself without the makeup on and just being myself. So it's been very freeing. I mean, I think during COVID, nobody was dressing. Well, I wasn't dressing up and wearing high heels. And also where you see on the show so far, you've seen us go to Lake Tahoe. To me, I don't think of Lake Tahoe as a place where you get all dressed up. So I just packed sweats and t-shirts and leggings and boots and tennis shoes, sneakers. These other girls, they really glam it up. They love it. And I love it. I love to watch it. For me, I'm comfortable being just casual. I love to dress up if it's appropriate.
So that's a good question, because you're right. I think I saw one clip where you walked into a room and there was Lisa Rinna wearing some electrifying green, fabulous, wide-shouldered suit, and and there was a hot pink, ball gown, and then I think you were just sort of in a comfy dress, and I think you were sort of wowed by the whole notion of fashion.
I thought I was in a nice summer dress with espadrilles. I thought I looked presentable and nice. And, by the way, it was not a barbecue. I was hoping it was going to be a barbecue. That's what I was told. And I walked in. I did not smell the hamburgers and the hot dogs. It was caviar and pigs in a blanket. And I saw all of these girls dressed up like Vogue magazine meets, New York Fashion Week meets couture in Paris. I was blown away. But I still felt comfortable. I didn't feel like, oh, I should go hide or go home and change.
So, but is that the way they really live? I mean, is that how, barbecues really do play out if the cameras aren't there, that they're just dressed to the nines all the time? Or is this really a lot of trumping up stuff because it's showtime?
I think those girls, that's really how they are. My friends are they're more casual like me.
Okay, so next question, the fun
out.
part of you. Oh, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
They really stand out.
Boy, I'll say the fashions are remarkable. It's like a runway show when I see it. So the fun Kathy, that's what everybody's talking about. That you make everybody laugh. That they just love that you have this joie de vivre. I want to play a clip of you interacting with the other housewives as friend of the housewives, and it has to do with martinis, the drink that we normally sip. But take a peek. I want to ask you about it on the other side. Here's Kathy Hilton in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I've already had 2 of these.
You said 2 martinis? Is that what she said?
But you got to do bottoms up.
Bottoms up?
Yes, we are.
Okay. We're doing bottoms up.
Are you really?
If you're doing it, I'm doing it.
Well, they could drink the whole thing.
We're on a girls' trip. We are going to have fun tonight. And anyone that isn't, you can just watch us have fun.
Bottoms up. Go.
Oh my f***ing God.
Oh my
Doreen.
God. Yes.
Those f***ers are f***ing hardcore.
This one definitely earned you a lot of laughs from the fans. Are you going to be able to keep up that pace?
I had a ball doing it. That's just the beginning. And plus, I have had experience doing that here at my house at a barbecue. And so I have had experience doing that. I had a ball, and just to see those girls fall for it and their reaction when Erica says, "Did she just say she drank too?" And then Lisa with her hair flipped back. I mean, I got such a kick out of it. But I do want to clarify, because I received so many DMs and people in pools in Las Vegas with like 10 or 12 people cheering, going, "Bottoms up, Kathy," and sending these different videos to me and memes. I want to clarify, that was olive water. That was water with olives. I don't bottoms up. And I'll have a glass of wine or champagne. I'm not really a martini drinker.
Okay, I'm so glad you clarified that, because I truly could not. I mean, I was sort of having the gag reflex as I was watching the chugging, thinking if that were a martini, I'd be on the floor in seconds.
Ooh.
Okay, this is the opposite of a drinking question. This is a not drinking question. Your daughter Paris is engaged. She's got a wedding coming up. There's a million questions I want to ask about that. But a lot of people on the interwebs are all asking, is that a baby bump? Is Paris pregnant? She was talking about IVF a few months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago. So set the record straight. Is Paris pregnant or not?
Well, I will say that when you're doing the IVF, you do, what is it? It gets you bloated. So not that I know of. I don't think she would be on a safari in Africa right now if she was pregnant.
So that's a no?
I think I would know. I'm her mother and her best friend. So,
Well, real quickly, have you picked a place for the wedding? Because every time I see pictures of your beautiful home, I think that would be the place I'd pick.
you know, I have to get her back here and talk with her and sit her down. She had talked about Napa Valley. And I said, wait a minute, Napa Valley is beautiful. I just don't see you getting married in Napa Valley. Somebody puts a bee in her bonnet and then she's all Napa Valley. I said, Paris, you don't drink wine. You don't like wine. I just don't see it. And she was, you're right. So when she gets back, she'll settle down and we'll talk about it.
And we were just showing pictures of Nikki, so I want to make sure that our audience knows. We do know the difference between Paris and Nikki, and there's Paris with her mom, and then there's Paris with her mom and her aunt. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, Kathy, but our viewers have loads of questions for you, not the least of which involves Maurizio. And if you and your husband have come to terms with Kyle and Maurizio and the relationship you have with Maurizio. So that's coming up after the break. Back now with Kathy Hilton from Real Housewives of Beverly. Is that a lollipop? You ate a lollipop during the commercial break?
I was at the lollipop.
You're so innocent. Okay, Matthew O. on Facebook, Kathy, has this question for you. Has your husband, Rick, forgiven Mauricio for leaving Hilton and Highland to start his own real estate agency? And have you? And for those who don't know, Mauricio is Kyle, your sister's husband, and he left Hilton and Highland Real Estate, your husband's real estate company, to start his own agency. So where does the relationship stand with you all?
Well, all I can say is that when he and Rick spoke, Rick said, I wish you all the luck. And this is a very tough business. And just know the door is always open. So I think people, you know, I never corrected anything because I'm from the I kind of look at it, if you correct something, you're making it a bigger story. But then on the flip side is, if you don't snip it in the bud, it keeps growing and growing and growing. It becomes part of the landscape. And people, it's like playing telephone. This person says this, then this person.
Sure. So you guys are good?
We're fine. We're fine.
Oh, that's good to know. I'm glad to hear. I always like to hear that families are in good shape. I want to talk about another super close person in your life, and that's Kris Jenner. You know, the Kardashians show has come to a close, and I know that you guys are really tight. I also think I saw somewhere that you were considering asking her to come on board. I don't know if it's a Real Housewives franchise you'd like her to join, or an entirely different show, but what's the story going forward in terms of you being on camera one day with Kris Jenner?
Well, you never know. I know that she's got some things in the works right now. Certainly, we would love her to come on Housewives and play, but she is very, very busy, and we might. Who knows what the future holds? We're very close, and we enjoy each other. We have a good time.
Is it possible that there could be just a Hilton sisters and daughters franchise where it's not a Real Housewives program, it's something completely new and is it in development? Let me ask you that. A Hilton sisters program.
There's been talk with my sisters and I. I don't see my daughters being involved at all.
But the three of you might?
If the right opportunity, the right project, absolutely. We've talked
Really?
about
So
it.
are you actually crafting anything? Is there a treatment in the works? Anything like that?
You have to wait and find out.
Oh, look at you going at me like that and leaving me hanging, Kathy Hilton. That's why everybody loves you. Okay, real quick. Okay, quick question. We do this thing called Table for Two. We put you at this adorable table, and the seat across from you is empty. You get to put anyone in that seat that you would like to spend time with, whether it's dinner or drinks, and it can be someone who's alive or no longer with us. Who would you seat at that table across from you, that chair across from you?
My mother.
Oh, tell me.
Tell you?
Yeah, tell me more.
I would just love to be able to be with her and spend time with her.
So obviously family is important to you. Do you think your daughters would say the same thing if I asked them, if they'd say, well, yeah, I want my mom there?
Sure.
I'll tell you what, I didn't see my mom for 1 year and 4 months during COVID, so I would have chosen my mom in a heartbeat. Any big surprises coming in the next few episodes that you can give us a little spoiler?
Ooh, I know tomorrow night is going to start very, very lots of drama, very heavy. So put your seat.
Wait, you got to tell me more than that. You can't leave me at that. Like what? Like what kind of heavy, Kathy?
Well, it starts to get pretty heavy with Erica. And this is kind of like the beginning. She's just told us that she's filing for divorce from her husband. And it starts heating up pretty quick.
Okay, well, we should leave it there as the perfect tease for your program. Kathy, it's good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Season 11 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills airs Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on Bravo. Kathy, good to talk to you. I hope it's not our last chat.
Yes, Ashley, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.